Looks like Trigger's actually decided to take part in the festivities of the anime season once again, and this time we are graced with not one, but two. While one is basically Trigger references the anime, the other is KIZNAIVER. I'm having trouble still saying that. Well, it has the Trigger look, the Trigger themes, and a bag of mixed feelings that always comes with anything Trigger makes. They also come back with the good old connections to each other, and this time they literally connect these kids in a new form of torture, being made into stereotypes, as we take a look at an anime all about friendships and building relationships with others. Let's look at KIZNAIVER. The story is simple enough. A bunch of different colored-haired kids are thrown into some program called the KIZNAIVER that connects each other's senses to whenever one feels pain, the rest also feel the same pain. And somehow this experiment is supposed to change or save the world, and the kids are thrown around doing different tests, from fighting chicken suit things and drawing out each other's innermost secrets, and doing this is supposed to bring the kids together to learn from each other. And while the show does this all in all, the show does nothing to surprise. It's an anime about bringing people together who seem to have nothing in common, and you can kind of guess how it's gonna end. And the story in general never gives you an understanding of how this experiment will change the world, and basically pushes the question to the end, and I'm not sure if it actually ever truly answers that big question. It just seems to be the reason they give to make the viewer feel like there is an actual purpose to what they're doing. Nonetheless, the end-all be-all question can be overlooked if the way the show progresses through the story is good. While the main focus is going to be on development and backstory for these characters, it of course contains a lot of over-dramatization of each situation, which happens a lot in these kind of shows. Whether these situations really hit you, it may be a mixed bag at times, depending on if you care and see the character truly has a reason to act the way they do, such as the girl that has a crush on the MC, who gives these dramatic speeches on how the MC has changed, and she doesn't know if she actually has feelings for him or not. Yet a lot of these speeches fell flat due to us not really understanding why she is in love with him, other than through a few lines of dialogue. We never see much personality from the MC to understand her reasoning. Yet my personal favorite arc that the show does pretty well, and actually gives us a good understanding of the world around them, and the arc that was the most well done, was for the MC Katsuya. I don't know how to say that. Which, well, throughout the show he's extremely bland. This was the first time we really got any humanizing traits and started to understand why he acts so bland, and I enjoyed that part. As for whether you might like the story or not, it really depends on if you like storytelling through a large amount of dialogue and building of relationships, and sometimes over-dramatizing other situations to really try to push the emotions they're trying to convey, even if they might feel forced at times. It can help the show explain the pain that has come from the relationships that we form all the time. Also, if you like to see the growth of relationships between others and the shipping of couples, even if they might not turn out the way you like it, then you will like this show. Yet you might not like it if you don't like some forced moments in character relationships and some over-dramatization. And while I enjoyed it, it's not the smoothest ride to get to the end. And for the most prominent part of the show, the people who are being used in this experiment, like I said at the beginning, these are a bunch of stereotypes thrown into a show. Hell, the show even knows this. We have the generic quiet MC, the tsundere, the dick, the hot-headed brute, the bitchy withdrawn girl, and well, I'm not sure if she's a stereotype, but she's the kind of insane yet lovable girl, and then the masochist. And with understanding that you basically threw a bunch of stereotypes into a show, you'd probably attempt to make them break out of that shell, yet in attempting to do so, they actually have dug a few deeper. While the MC has a plot-pertinent reason for being quiet and acting emotionless, it still doesn't fight the fact that he's very rarely shown to do anything of importance or interesting, and other than talking to the main girl that is running these experiments at times, I even forget he's in the show. The dick is the only one that remotely moves out from being his stereotypical dickish ways to someone who is actually kinder, and honestly I see him more being kind than dickish the entire show. Nuko is probably the most entertaining, and the girl that tries to bring people back together when everyone else is being all edgy and feeling bad for themselves, and she, aside from crying, is the life of the party. The masochist is someone never really expounded upon, aside from loving pain and helping talk the MC through his problems. He's kind of strange, masochistic counselor, I guess. The other is the Brute, is a likable character who seems to be like that till the end, only changing and making friends, yet showing he does have a yet lovable side, and the same goes for the Withdrawn Girl too. But aside from looking at just the characters in general, the one thing that the show is kind of strange about is the romantic relationships, where I know they're trying to build relations with each other. The way they handled this was weird, and the end feel kind of forced, and just like they were there to build the stakes for the end, like there needed to be some sort of love triangle to make everything kind of play out and build the emotion from each character, even if the emotion or relationship was never really there until they wanted it to be, and it feels somewhat out of place at that point. Yet my favorite part of the characters is how they interact, seeing them play off one another in different ways. The characters alone are a mixed bag. Yet, if you like to have many characters with decently distinct personalities, whether generic or not, and seeing their relationships grow together, then you will certainly enjoy this. But if you don't like some forced relationships, then this may not be for you. And for Trigger, they of course have their signature art style, which contains very distinct look with characters that all look unique in their own fashion, all being pretty lanky but distinct and detailed, having a distinct amount of flaring curls that I personally enjoy. The show of course contains some very off-looking beings that I still can't distinguish what the hell they are. I can't even think of things to really compare them to other than chickens. They don't even look like chickens. Aside from that, the show is very colorful, especially for the characters, which of course helps to point out who's the MCs in the class. But Trigger creates beautiful lighting, shadowing, and atmosphere when is needed the most, being downright beautiful most of the time, and animation-wise is much more focused, consistent, and I would say more down-to-earth, much more down-to-earth than that of Kill la Kill, being fluid, and I don't think it contains any of sort of these moments. And Trigger, of course, showing a large amount of emotions in everyone's face, whether it being anger or sadness, is clearly shown, and in general, movement is smooth and detailed. As for the music, the OST is heavy on electronic music, which is composed by Yuki Hayashi, and he shows he is pretty versatile, where he worked on My Hero Academia in this same season, both being very good but different types of music in both. And this one, like I said, is electronic, having that very energetic tones and help to energize or create hectic yet engrossing atmosphere. The OP wasn't one I cared for at first, and it grew on me by the end. Still, I don't love it, but it's not bad by any means, and it's a remix version of Take On Me by Aha. And I think that's how you say it. And it sounds like a club version of the song. As for the animation or visuals, it has a lot of spinning, which seems to be real-life places, and then the characters and the scenes from the show thrown in. As for the ending, it's a soft rock song that builds over time, which I enjoyed, and is accompanied by pictures of Noriko, the blue-haired leader of the experiments, and the other female characters. And well, that is it. This is a show that helps to show that pain that can come from forming friendships and deeper relationships, and how they can be lost over time. And while the show does a good job of that, it can feel forced and over-traumatized sometimes. So, I would say if you like shows with relationship building and some decently enjoyable characters and some great animation, yet don't care if it's over-dramatized or forced, then sure, give it a watch. Otherwise, I say pass. But other shows that I would recommend if you have already seen this would be Anohana, which has a similar setup with a group of characters that have to make hurdles over emotional pain that have brought on by the loss of someone they care about, and they have to learn and grow together. Then I would say Angel Beach, which in my opinion is a lot more emotional, and deals with the supernatural, learning from one's past, and builds friendships. And then for one work from Trigger, which I've already mentioned before in this review, would be Kill la Kill, which being a lot more action-based and filled with loads of fan service, still deals with the connections that we have with each other. And that is it. I hope you all enjoyed my review of KIZNAIVER, and if you've already watched it, let me know what you thought of it, and tell me if you plan on watching it if you haven't already, or if you don't plan on it. But my name is the Arcane Keyblade, and don't forget to punch that like button if you enjoyed my review and tell me things I could improve on with these. And I will see you all next time. Peace out.